Almost the entire crew was asleep when it was first noticed. Due to the fact that we had an exhausting, several days long trip behind us, must have led a lot of people to be tired. Only a half-asleep captain and a few as if bridgemen were still roaming around the decks. I was thrown out of bed by a deafening alarm. The emergency red-tinted walls led me to the upper decks. I didn't notice what happened to the landscape surrounding us. I just wanted to talk to one of the men in charge. Or even better, the captain. But the first competent person I met just stared at me in disbelief. I tried to calm her down. "You're Lisa, right? What happened? Why is everyone in such a hurry? Where's the captain?" My avalanche of questions led her to fall on her knees, where she began to cry. I sat down next to her. I was out of words, so I just tried to calm her down physiologically. But she just looked me in the eyes, her angry face directly in front of me. "Can't you see it?" she shouted directly into my face. "Why did this happen?" I felt like the dumbest person in the world after she pointed on the skyscrapers around us. Because there were almost none left, and if a building was still standing, it resembled just a skeleton of its former self. With glass shattered, corpses hanging out of some window frames, and beams broken. Now we sat there, she crying, me staring at the cityscape, trying to comprehend what had happened. We could have sat there for an eternity, and still wouldn't be able to reason ourselves. But only after a few minutes a bridgeman ran towards us, and explained hurriedly and exhausted that the captain would hold a conference below deck, and that we would be the last ones who were still missing. Sprawling with questions, we both hurried to the conference room, but we were quickly silenced by the captain. "That guy has authority. He was middle-aged, I think in his 50s. I have frequently talked with other crew members about him, and sure, there were some crazy rumors about him, but what I've heard the most is that he fought in the resource wars, up to the point where half of his body was scarred in an incident with a nuclear warhead. He was sent home a day after that and had some reconstructive surgeries and therapies, but you can still see what happened to him, both on the outside and the inside. That's why he was seemingly the only voice of reason on this wreck of a ship. Both Lisa and I were still in a state of shock, but his calming voice and speech very much helped to reason the situation, not only for us, but for the entire crew. "My dear crew," he began. "The Rostock successfully crossed the Atlantic Ocean in the effort to supply our friends, the USA, with tons of cargo, but apparently they aren't here to receive that shipment." A few chuckles could be heard from expressionless faces. "Unfortunately, we had a bit of an inconvenience earlier, and we had to say goodbye to Matthias, Christian, and Piotr. May they find peace now." The smile on the people's faces vanished. "But now," the captain spoke with a determined voice, "now we have to focus on what's important. I already tried to send a message to NY Harbor, but apparently all communications are dead. So we will have to take a more analog approach to this. We need some people to go to NY Harbor HQ. The rest stays here and searches the containers for valuables. A drastic step, I know, but we may have to stay here for a while. I will take charge on the ship. Who will be the squad leader?" In the haste of the moment, I volunteered, knowing that as soon as everything was clear, I would get out of this shithole. Luckily, 4 other people decided to volunteer. Jack, our trustful American-born mechanic, Köpenick, a guy who was usually busy working together with the captain on the bridge, very introverted, didn't know much else about him at that time. Surprisingly, our chef volunteered too. He's a war veteran, at least he looked like someone. Or have you ever seen a normal guy whose skin was scarred and whose left arm was replaced by a bionic one? My face was hit by an astonished expression when I saw the fragile 4-fingered hand rising above Lisa's head. Still in shock, but dedicated nonetheless. I knew her for about 10 minutes after the captain's speech. I would have never expected that. "So," the captain said with a motivated voice, "here we have our volunteers. You are going into uncertain terrain, so you should probably stock up on some gear, food and water, if you need it. You can also take a knife or hatchet with you." We were a freighter crew, not soldiers, so the only gun we knew of was the captain's flare gun. He also had a pistol with him, a rusty old Mauser, probably a relic from his soldier years. So we headed out, with a city plan, armed with crowbars, and our emergency fire axe, and a list of survival gear that we could scrounge together.